Oh god, it's happening again. This happens frequently, and there's two problems that I have in fan casting. One of them is when I've got to cast a lot of kids. That's always a hardship, because you just end up casting the same child actors a lot if you're not careful. You gotta go looking for more, and it feels weird constantly trying to find the youngest children acting today possible on the internet. I'm on a watch list somewhere. The other thing that's very difficult to do, and this is a shame that it's still so difficult to do, it's casting a really diverse cast in live action. Yeah. Aladdin, they did a good job with this, and they've done it recently, so, god, why are we doing this? I don't know, but we've done a few of these recently, the recent Disney live action castings. We're just giving our own take on them, what they could have done. For me, the important thing for Aladdin is that I think this is a good case of where the Disney live action remakes, despite Aladdin being one of the better ones, I think, personally, it still takes itself so seriously. Really did, and I think that's a shame, because a part of the charm, a big part of the charm for a lot of the Disney animated films originally, especially Aladdin, is the comedy. It's so funny. Robin Williams is so great. Will Smith was fine. He was fine. But I feel like they're really missing a beat in not going for a more comedic, lighthearted style in any of these Disney live action remakes. They take themselves so seriously. I think that's a real shame. I'm going to try it a little something different, okay? So today we're going to try casting a diverse and comedic enough cast all at once to make this work, while also still being able to sing and do all the other stuff they need to do to boot. That's a lot. That's a big ask. For Aladdin himself, this is quite a simple one, because Aladdin is... Mena Musab was good. I have no problem with him. He was a very serious looking kind of Aladdin. He did feel this street rat who's kind of having a good time. He's like, hey, and he's quite cocky. I felt like he was just very serious about it, and that's not his fault to any degree. I'm sure he could have played a more comedic version of the character, and it wasn't that. It's not that serious. There were jokes in the film. I feel like it would have been more comedic if they'd cast somebody like Ramy Youssef, because his show is so funny. If you've seen his show, he's just a straight up stand-up comedian, but also actor, and he's brilliant at both. How much can he sing? Not sure on this occasion, but he is so funny. He's great in his show. He's great at everything I've seen him in, and that's a tragically small amount. He should have gotten a bigger role in something bigger by now, but I've loved what I've seen him in. I think he'd be fantastic at that. And yeah, the singing might be an issue. In that case, it might be an issue. I can admit this. Overall, though, in the acting chops and the comedic chops, he'd be perfect. Jasmine... Now, it's more important. It's more important for her to be able to sing. Aladdin, if he can only half sing, you can make it do. Jasmine is meant to be the powerhouse. She's the heavy lifting singer in the whole thing. I'm going to cast... And again, Naomi Scott was very good. Naomi Scott was very good in that role. And sang incredibly. Didn't know she could sing like that until I saw her in Aladdin. I'm going to cast Kiersey Clemons, because when she sings, I'm like, damn, as well. She's also young. Not much younger, but I want, and I've been trying to do this lately, to kind of eliminate some of that Hollywood age gap between the man and woman. And Ramy Youssef is about 30. Kiersey Clemons is about 26, so there's still a little bit of a gap there, but it's not bad. Sometimes it's bad in these films, so I wanted to avoid that. Kiersey Clemons is a fantastic actor, a fantastic singer, and she is, very attractive. She's very attractive as well, so that helps. But I feel like she would be able to keep up, at least with the comedy that I intend for this version to have, while also doing the powerhouse lifting in terms of singing. And any time you need to fit in a little bit of a it's probably Jasmine doing that, so yeah, she could do that as well. Next, yeah, Jafar is kind of hard to cast. He's kind of hard to cast because you don't want someone overly memey or outright comedic in their style, because Jafar is quite a serious villain even in the original animated version, and that was okay. At the same time, you'd want somebody who could maybe give a bit of that while also looking like this terrifying villain, having experience of playing these terrifying villains before, I want to cast Oded Fehr, because I really like him, and I think he's been very underrated for years. He's around the right age now to play Jafar. I think he's about 50, and he's played roles like this. In Charmed, he did for a whole season the big overarching bad, and he was very Jafar-like in that. He was this evil, demonic kind of sorcerer guy, and he was just so cool and just confident and cocky and evil laugh all the time. He's done other roles like the Mummy films with Brendan Fraser, and he was very mysterious in those as well. He was this mysterious, serious character, and he's done things like the Resident Evil films, where he showed off his comedic chops and lighthearted side a bit more as well, even though they were trash, but he was good in them. And I always enjoy seeing him on screen anytime he pops up in anything. I'd love to see him get a bigger role like this. No, he's not overly memey or funny, but he can definitely do like a quippy Jafar, which is the max that you'd need to go, really, for a role like that, I think, anyway. Now, the Sultan. How old do you cast the Sultan? What ethnicity do you cast the Sultan? These are all hard questions to answer, honestly. To some degree, we are just going kind of colorblind with this cast. It's all over the place. It's all over the place. But it's diverse, and I wanted to keep it diverse, even if I wasn't able to nail... If you look up Saudi Arabian actors on Google, you know what you get? Not a lot, guys. For the Sultan, I just thought it would be really fun to cast Ben Kingsley, because we've seen him do this. The Iron Man 3 reveal, not everyone loved it, that's true. I've never been sure how I felt about it overall. It was a bit overly memey for me. But we've seen him do these older, scary, powerful looking roles, which the Sultan appears to be, but overall, in the original animated one at least, he's quite a funny, memey sort of character. And Ben Kingsley would perfectly translate that to live action, that style. And that is, again, what I'm going for. I just want the comedy that you would naturally get if a film like this was animated to be able to translate to some degree into live action, because it's something that they just haven't done. That is one thing they have not managed to do yet in any of these live action ones for me. But Ben Kingsley is the kind of person that could translate the Sultan to screen and feel as memey and funny while also being this proper leader. Probably. I'm not sure if it's possible to translate a film like this perfectly like this, but I'm giving it a go. Iago. Now, don't get me wrong. They did that, yeah. They did the Mushu. Except they actually left Iago in, which is something. But he just talked like a normal parrot in the 2019 one. Realism. Realism is what they've gone for in their live-action ones. And realism is what they've gone for in a lot of their more recent animated ventures. They want this hyper-realistic looking, you know, to the degree that they were able to call The Lion King live-action in 2019. That's what Disney are going for, all these hyper-realistic kind of animated styles and live-action styles of animated things. Why? It's for kids. Why can't it still just be funny and memey? And why can't you just have Iago talking like he talked in the animated one? If you had him talking like he talked in the animated one, I would cast Ben Schwartz as him, because he's hilarious. And in that kind of evil but funny sidekick evil role, having that banter back and forth with Jafar, I think Ben Schwartz would do it really well. I think he'd have a lot of fun with that. Razul is the lead guard, and he's not overall a very important role, but I wanted to cast him because I want to cast James Monroe Iglehart as him, because he played Genie in the Broadway run of Aladdin, and he was so good at it. And I think it'd be really funny to have him just at least appear, even if you don't have him as Genie, just have him appear in a live-action version of this, in a role like that, where he can just turn up and be around and have a few lines, and maybe just get involved in one of the songs, like add a song with the Sultan and Razul singing, or I don't know. I've got a few ideas for that. I like the idea of him being in it, though, very much. Prince Ahmed might want a different name. Generally just a suitor for Princess Jasmine. They had a different name for the suitor that turned up in the live-action one recently. I just really like this idea, because you want to cast a suitor, okay? And any film that doesn't have Keanu Reeves cameoing is not as good as it would be if it did have Keanu Reeves cameoing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And I actually recently found out that he was born, where was it? Liberia or He was born in a very unusual place that I didn't realise. So, a kid who's actually, with all of the ancestry he's got, could easily play a suitor coming from a nearby land to court Prince Jasmine, and it would be the funniest thing that's ever occurred. And that's just adding to the funny and meminess of this whole thing, I think. It just puts it together really beautifully. But you know what you need to put it together even more beautifully, finally, is the Genie. The Genie is hard to cast. You cannot replace Robin Williams. You cannot replace Robin Williams. Say it with me. You cannot replace Robin Williams. You cannot replace Robin Williams. Don't get me wrong. Will Smith, for his style of Genie, for what he was doing differently, for what he had going on, was fine. If you were casting the Genie to be more like he was in the original animated version, casting somebody that can have that level of hyper meminess, comedy, improvisation that Robin Williams could do, and all the weird different voices, voicing over them, or whatever style you do Genie, doing it like that, I want to cast Steve Carrell as Genie, because his voice as Gru, for instance, that's the kind of thing, playing Gru in Despicable Me, that Robin Williams could have done when he was alive. And I could have seen it. And it would have been beautiful. And Steve Carell did that perfectly. And there's so many other Steve Carell roles, Steve Carell bits he's done, the style of comedy that Steve Carell could do, that makes me believe that almost any... It's like casting Charles Dance in a role that Christopher Lee originally played, which I've done a few times. I just believe that Steve Carell could do a lot of these Robin Williams roles. Jumanji lead, if they did proper Jumanji instead of the other ones that they've been doing recently. I could see him doing that role. I could see him doing Good Morning Vietnam. I could see him doing these. If I was to recast any of those, I think, I'd want Steve Carell in Robin Williams' role. And it's the same thing here. And it would be weird having him be live-action CGI Genie, but I mean, you could just do it whatever way you want. You can get somebody else to do the bodywork or something. Anyway, I definitely want him doing that role, if anyone is to do it again. Not Will Smith. It was fine, not Will Smith. That is all for this fancast, guys. That was an enjoyable one. It was tricky to get right some of those rules, and the diversity is an issue in anything like that, because there's not enough actors from some of these countries well known in Hollywood. And even if they are well known in their own countries, I've maybe never seen them in something, so it would be insincere of me to say I think this person's right for this role. But you can subscribe to see like 90 something other fan casts and suggest something else down in the comments. Go ahead.